Hello, hello, it is Tomster here on behalf of Indie Structural Productions with another After Hours. Finally! It has taken a good long while for me to actually make another After Hours video. That's just because I really haven't gotten a chance to do things. I kept on saying that I needed to finish drawings for the CNC, which was true at that point. I just very quickly just decided that, you know what, I don't want to do this on the CNC. I'll just do it by hand, because I know how to do it, and it's a guitar for myself, so what better way to make a guitar for myself than actually make every single part of it. Well, okay, granted, I have used the CNC a little bit already, but yeah. I need to catch up with what I've been doing here. So basically after some measuring, I figured out where my center line was, and now I am measuring the ends of my fretboards so I can get the shape of my neck, so that I can cut off the excess with a bandsaw. That went very, very quick, but as you saw there, I measured a good few times, because it's always measure, measure, cut, and measure again, and cut, and so on and so forth. It's just really making sure that I do get this right, because I don't really want to screw up. The fretboard had slipped a little bit during the glue up process because one of my locating pins basically got demolished. It just snapped right off and the fretboard moved, which meant that my previous center line was no longer centered, which unfortunately meant that my multi-laminates kind of go a little wonky. But it makes no real difference too much. A little bit of an aesthetic difference, but that's about it. So now I am basically using this small bandsaw to cut very close to the line, not on the line, but close to it, just so that I have less to route off in a little while. I hadn't decided on I didn't have the proper headstock shape thought up just yet, so I'm just going to do a paddle headstock for now. Like so. So that's one side, and now to do the other side, just to kind of even it all out, as it were. Yeah, I'm glad that I made this decision, because, like I said, I can actually make it exactly how I want it to be, which really is a better thing to do here when making a guitar for myself. Just checking that I get the center line marked out at the ends of the neck as well, so that I can line up my template a bit. The template has the nut position already marked on it, so that's how I basically locate everything. And in order for the template to fit properly or be in the right place, I need to use a square to mark out where my nut line is. So I'm doing this right at the end of the fretboard, right at the start of the nut. Well, right at the end of the fretboard. That's where I want to position everything, or start measuring things from. With that marked out, I use another ruler to join the two lines. Once again, I have a full plethora of different types of rulers and measuring tools. Those are always very handy for you to have around, as many different kinds as possible. Then using the masking tape trick, which means putting on masking tape onto my neck, like so, and burnishing it down in a little pit. Well, okay, first I'm also putting masking tape, of course, on my template. There we go. And now to burnish it down with, well, the end of a screwdriver will do just fine. I don't have a burnisher, but this will do. And this makes sure that everything does stay exactly where it's supposed to be and doesn't slip, nothing moves, so on and so forth. Using very, very little, just one tiny line of super glue. You don't need much. And then joining up, you can see at the end of the template headstock, there's a little line going down. That's where the center line is. So I'm lining that up with my own center line, like so, and did the same thing on the other end. And then it's just a matter of applying a little bit of pressure while the glue dries. With that all said and done, it's time to move to the router table. So I have the template on the bottom, and I'm using a bearing cutter. I think this is a Radian cutter, 3 flute, and yeah, just basically the bearing rests on the template, and I get a nice, clean, straight, square cut, which is exactly what I want right here. I'm taking very, very small passes. Last thing I'm going to do is take a big chunk out of my neck, especially going against the grain like I am right now. The reason why I don't go, if you haven't used table routers or routers and stuff like that, don't have experience in them, I need to go in this direction, because otherwise I'd be going with the blade, which would just mean that the blade would snap the piece of wood straight out of my hands, and it would fly across the room, and my hands would fly into the blade, and that's just, yeah, all kinds of bad things would happen. So very small cuts is the key, even if your blade would be sharp enough or big enough to take bigger cuts. It's always nice and safe to take small cuts. Usually gives you a nicer finish as well, because the blade has to work a lot less. There we go. And seeing as I don't have a template continue after that, I had to go and cut off the end and then change the cutter into this smaller one and basically repeat the process, but just doing the heel. The reason why I'm doing it this way is because I wanted an overhang from the fretboard. So I needed to not cut that end of the fretboard off and just take away material from underneath the very, very last fret. This is pretty much the only way to do so. Being very careful. It probably doesn't look like I'm applying too much pressure here, but with both my hands, I'm keeping as many points of contact on the table and my piece of wood as possible, and moving very, very carefully, pressing down on the table. And once again, the small cuts do help as well, but everything is in perfect control so that nothing slips out of my hands. It's a very important thing to remember. It's if something were to happen, it's always good to think of where will your hands go if something were to happen, and in that way you can prevent your hands from being in line to go into the blade at any given moment. But hey, it has come time to end this once again, and I will see you again very, very soon with the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm just gonna clean up after myself, and yeah, see you guys later. Bye.